Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the English news from Djibouti channels. Here are the headlines of our edition tonight. The main titles are the head of state participated the Djiboutian final at Guled Stadium. On continental news, the killer of New Zealand attacks blades not guilty. Welcome if you join us. This afternoon the sport was in the spotlight, football in particular. It was the Cup of Djibouti, which opposed Arta Solar 7 against the team of the Gendarmerie, both finalists. As usual, the head of state has attended the final of the Djibouti Cups in a stadium where thousands of supporters from the capital and the region converged this afternoon to the stadium Hassan Guled. The head of state was greeted by the Prime Minister and the State Secretary for Youth and Sports. At the opening of the final, the ceremony began with the national theme played by the millennial fanfare. And before the final of men's, it was the final of women's. It started in the stadium of Guled. The match was between the ADF team and the Hayablay team. At the start of that game, both teams tried to improve their style. The ADF playmakers find the fault and block the situations during the first half, and both teams joined their lockers room on their score. Back from the lockers room, the two teams resumed their game. On the determinations of the footballer, the soccers of the Fed, which triples the score, brought to 3 goals to 0. Its end score of 7 goals to 0. That the home highs the end of the match with the indisputable victory of the women's of Fed team, and play and the end they play each against other. the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, shared the closing sessions of the Forum of Adolescent and Young Development Actors. The Prime Minister's Islam's Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed shared Thursday afternoon at the Kempeski Palace in Djibouti the closing sessions of the Forum of Teenager and Young Development Actor, organized jointly by the Minister of Education in close collaboration with the UNICEF, UNDP, and civil society organization. The CIPOR young people the event last 2 days, during which young people were able to debate with national and international panelists. As its name suggests, the theme of Fajad 2019 was the adolescent and youth development actors. In the closing ceremony, the Prime Minister, during his speech, congratulated all the organizers for the success of this first forum and praised the quality of the debate during the workshop, where the emphasis was put on the tremendous development potential that is range between 15 and 24 years, according to the UN definition. The result of this work, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed concluded with his speech, and he said that he will make concrete recommendation to ensure the full realization of the great potential of young people and translate the clear will of their commitment to sustainable development and Vision 2035. The Interior Minister Momin Ahmed Sheikh continued his tour of making contacts with the various departments or directions. This time the Minister Momin Ahmed Sheikh went to the office of the Road of Djibouti OVD with his close collaborators. After his arrival at the OVD, the minister was greeted by the General Director of the OVD, Sharmarke Yusuf Musa. Then he received a guard of honor formed by the staff of the Office of the Road of Djibouti, which served a warm welcome. Before beginning his visit, the minister had an interview with the director and this noble institution named Sharmarke Yusuf Musa. Then the minister began his visit to the general directions of the Office of Cleanliness of Djibouti under the explanation of the director. Subsequently, the minister extended his visit to the various services that make up the OVD, namely the geolocation services, the collection service, and the sensual services. And during the tour, his journey, the minister made a tour of the site of UNARS, where he received a warm welcome from the executive secretary Hussein Hassan Darar staff and the senior executive of the office. In addition, UNARS, which regularly works for the well-being of refugees and displaced people, all the stripes particular arose Mr. Momin Ahmed Sheikh, whose the executive secretaries did not fail through the projections to imply form the Minister of the Interior regarding the terms of the reference and the organization chart of this historical office. In more than one way, remember that this noble institution, worthy of its name, has been the very center of reception, regrouping, and assistance of the refugees come from bordering country in full war and conflict. The 5th edition of ministerial meeting of the Djibouti American Binational Forum took place on June 12, 2019 at the State Department in Washington under the co-presidency of the Minister of Foreign Affairs International Cooperation, spokesperson of the government, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and the Assistant Secretary for African Affairs. The delegations of Djibouti, which took part in this important political dialogue, also concluded the Minister of National Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, the President of the Authority of Poor and Free Zone, Mr. Abu Bakr Omar Haddi, as well as the Ambassador from Djibouti to the United States, Mr. Mohammed Saeed Ali, Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of Staff Defense, Director General of the Djibouti International Airport, and Air Djibouti Director General, and many senior officials, civilians and military from several ministerial departments and the embassy. The Minister of Labor in charge of the reform of the administrations, His Excellency Mr. Osman Ibrahim Roble, at the head of Tripartite Djibouti delegation, is currently taking part in the 108th sessions of the International Labour Conference, which began its work since the 10th of June in Geneva. On the sidelines of the sessions, the Minister of Labour in charge of administration reform held a talk with Mrs. Cynthia and Director of the ILO Regional Office of Africa. On his occasion, the Minister requested the support of the regional office in several thematic areas, particularly on youth, employment, labor migrations, and the support for young people with disability, the extension of social protection, the preventions of sexual harassment. As part of the regular visit of the Secretary of State in charge of decentralization to the population of the rural areas, a mission of his department led by the General Secretary Faraj one Thursday in Renda Prefecture, where the population of this great locality awaited him. The representative of the neighboring localities of Hallu and Magali. Upon arrival at the site, the mission received a warm welcome from the population mobilized around the sub-prefect Aden Mohammed Daoud, surrounded by the village chief guard Muhammad Ali and other notables. And now let's move on continental news, where the killer of 51 worshipper in March in two mosques in the church in Christchurch, New Zealand, pleaded not guilty on his behalf this Friday. His constable Shantae told the High Court of this big city in the south of the archipelago that his client pleaded not guilty of all charges, which also caused the disbelief of survivors and relatives victims of the carnage. During the court hearing on Friday, the court was informed that psychiatric reports had established that Tarrant was fit to stand trial, according to a statement issued by the judge Cameron. Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.